So And literally, I crashed on I caught it, lost it.
And that's how we say good morning and welcome to another Sunday here at First Unitarian Society, where independent thinkers gather in a safe, nurturing environment to explore issues of social, spiritual, and ethical significance as we try to make a difference in this world. I'm Steve Goldberg, a proud, highly esteemed, multi-talented member of this congregation, and I'd like to extend a special welcome to any guests, visitors, or newcomers. If this is your first time at First Unitarian Society, I think you'll find that this is a very special place. And if you'd like to learn more about our special buildings, we'll be offering a guided tour after today's service. Just gather over here by the windows and we'll take good care of you. And speaking of taking good care of each other, this is the perfect time to silence those electronic devices that you just will not need for the next hour, because for the next hour you get to sit back or lean forward to enjoy today's service. I know it will touch your heart, stir your spirits, and trigger one or two new thoughts. We're glad you're here, and we'd like you now to join us in a moment of centering silence so we can be fully present with each other this morning.
And now let us rise in all the ways that we do to sing together hymn number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. Good morning. O life that maketh all things new, the blooming earth, our thoughts within, our pilgrim feet wet with thy dew, in gladness hither turn again. From hand to hand the greeting flows, from eye to eye the signals run, from heart to heart the bright hope glows, the seekers of the light are one in the freedom of the truth, one in the joy of paths untrod, one in the soul's perennial youth, one in the larger thought of God. The freer step, the fuller breath, the wide horizon's grander view, the sense of life that knows no death, the life that maketh all things new.
We gather in community to rest from our labors, to greet our neighbors, and to open our being to insight and intuition of that greater reality of which we are a part. May we find in our time together inspiration and renewal. May we touch the holy in one another and be touched by the graciousness of life. May we find here a calm that will carry us through the days ahead. And if you will join together now in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service as we light our chalice. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. And if you will take a moment now to turn and greet those around you.
Today we continue our worship service with one of the most meaningful and beloved moments in the life of a congregation, the rite of dedication. This is a time when we who are gathered here in this meeting house have the privilege to welcome our children into the family and religious community. Today it is our cherished assignment to welcome and pledge our care to Sophia and Faven. All of us gathered here are more than casual witnesses to life's gift and nature's marvelous creation. We are all invited to share the joy with these parents as we take these children and let them enter more fully into our lives in this community. I believe in my heart, and I speak for us all when I say that we are deeply grateful for this privilege. We continue this time-honored ritual because children are our present delight. By them, we are reminded of life's joys and wisdoms, and also reminded of our responsibility to all children. Here in this community, we strive to be a place where all children will learn, ears to listen, arms to embrace, a world of experience to encourage their inquiring minds. We are all blessed by their presence among us and pray that our lives will be a blessing to them. At this time, I'd like to invite the parents and the children who will be dedicated this morning to come join us up here.
And if you all will rise in all the ways we do and join together in the pledge of dedication that is found in your order of service. For the gift of childhood, whose innocence, laughter, and curiosity bring hope, joy, and new understanding into our lives, we lift thankful hearts. We welcome Faven and Sophia into this spiritual community and extend to their parents our love and support in the joys and challenges of caregiving. As these children grow, we will share with them our insights, our values, and our dreams, that they may enjoy the rich benefits of our religious heritage. Thank you. If our adults will be seated, but our children, if you'll remain standing. Today we welcome Faven and Sophia into our First Unitarian family. Soon they'll be a part of our classes here, and they will be growing and playing and learning with you. So I ask you to join us in welcoming them. Will you try to be true friends to Faven and Sophia? Will you speak to them with kindness, treat them fairly, and help them to feel at home here? If so, please say, "We will." Thanks, guys. Please be seated.
And now to those who stand with the children before us, Haben and Chris. As caregivers, it is your privilege and obligation to provide an environment both of security and challenge in which these young souls which you bring before us today will grow. Do you commit yourself to promote their physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being? Will you respect as well as protect these children and bestow your love as a free and unmerited gift? Also, do you reaffirm your commitment to one another as partners in life and in parenting? If so, please say we do.
Faven and Sophia have many people with them today, so if you'll please stand as your names are read. Grandmother Betsy Johnson, Grandfather Goidem Tekye, Grandmother Patos Naguse, Uncle Senai Goidem, Aunt Fenaba Ado, and Cousin Nia Senai. Hi, Nia. To all of you, I now ask, do you take upon yourselves the privilege and responsibility to nurture, defend, and support the inherent worth and dignity of these children to whom you bear a special relationship? Will you encourage them to grow in freedom and spirit and to always seek the truth? Finally, will you help them to grow in love for the larger human family, to love and respect the larger community of life to which we all belong? If so, please make this sacred promise by saying, "We will." Please be seated. Thank you. In the act of dedication, we use the symbolism of water as a sign of our common heritage. There is no suggestion here of a washing away of inherited sin. Children come into this world with the limitations natural to our species, but they arrive here innocent. Water here stands for vitality. It is the essence of life, the foundation of being. Its use here reminds us of our common bond with all-embracing and ever-sustaining nature. It's also the water of the community, the waters of the world, gathered at our annual water communion service. This water was an offering of the earth brought to us in joy for the sake of memory and community. Its use here reminds us of the ever-sustaining and embracing love of this community. Name this child.
Sophia Goitom-Smithka.
Sophia Goitom-Smithka. We dedicate you in the name of truth, the promise of love, and the fellowship of this society. May you be granted clarity of thought, integrity of speech, and a compassionate heart. And name this child.
Faven Zodi Smithka.
Faven Zodi Smithka. We dedicate you in the name of truth, the promise of love, and the fellowship of this society. May you be granted clarity of thought, integrity of speech, and a compassionate heart.
We would like to share a couple of gifts with you. As a token of their dedication, we give to Faven and Sophia a rosebud, a fragrant symbol of beauty, promise, and love. This rose has no thorns, symbolizing the better world we would give our children if it were in our power. While we know that the world is not altogether as lovely as this rosebud, we hope that Sophia and Faven will learn to recognize the beauty and goodness which does exist, and that they will grow in wisdom and compassion, adding their own beauty to the world. Faven and Sophia, as this flower unfolds in all its natural beauty, so may your life unfold. And also, as a remembrance of their dedication, we give to each child a blanket, a gift from the members of our Shawl Ministry program. When you see this blanket, may you be reminded of the warmth, the support, and the love of this community for your child and your family.
Today we have dedicated these children. May we also dedicate ourselves this day. As we contemplate the miracle of new life, as we renew in our hearts a sense of wonder and joy, may we be stirred to a fresh awareness of the sacredness of life and of the divine promise of childhood. May we pledge to build a community in which all our children will grow surrounded by beauty, embraced by love, and cradled in the arms of peace. May we pass on the light of compassion and courage, and may that light burn brightly within us all. If you will join me in welcoming Faven and Sophia. And now as we rise in all the ways
Thank
we do
you.
for our next hymn, number 338, our children and teachers may leave for classes.
I seek the spirit of a child, the child who meets life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond all art. May I see joy's a gift to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully. Now clouds in cloud, now golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond all lies. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
You may be seated. As we move into our time of reflection, a reading taken from the writing of Nicola Yoon and her novel, Everything, Everything. I read once that on average, we replace the majority of our cells every 7 years. Even more amazing, we change the upper layer of our skin every 2 weeks. If all the cells in our body did this, we'd be immortal. But some of our cells, like the ones in our brains, don't renew. They age and age us. In 2 weeks, my skin will have no memory of your hand on mine, but my brain will remember. We can have immortality or the memory of touch, but we can't have both. Here ends the reading. April is here, and so too a new theme, the theme of renewal. It is fitting that we turn to nature as one of the most meaningful sources for wisdom as we approach this theme and this season. As writer Don Cloudstrip penned, each harvest renews promises made in the spring. We live with a continuing cycle. This gives us a taste of eternity. We turn to the example of the lessons of nature because they remain a powerful source. Even though we have worked very hard as human beings to distance ourselves from nature's power, I would argue that there are still significant echoes within our being of the ancient rhythms of life itself, profound and transformative, and in turn playful and heartbreaking, predictable, and yet ever mysterious. These echoes speak of cycles, and the more that we pay attention to their ancient voices, the more that we are reminded of the constancy of change and the gift and the challenge of this reality. For every bud of spring, there is a flowering that moves into full beauty, but then on to the waning and decay that nourishes renewal. It is true of the earth. It is true of humanity, both as individuals and as a community. Both individual renewal and the renewal of communities are so intricately intertwined. I've concluded, as I thought about this sermon, that in many ways I am in the renewal business. The essence of what happens in the ministries that I've taken part in really since the beginning of my ministry, but especially as I've focused on transition time, seeks a renewal of energy and focus in the congregation as they think about their present and their future. But what I have heard very often in past ministries is that people will say again and again how surprised they are by the deep work that happens within their own lives as they work on the renewal of the community. Their own spirits, their own deep sense of why they exist and what is being asked of them is so much a part of what we work on in the months together. Every congregation comes to this time with essential work, and every human being as well. And how could they not be intertwined? The work of the congregation is to care for, challenge and comfort, and continue to support the sustenance and health of the very conduit of that work, which is the community itself. And when we talk about what we will do together, it is either for the people who are within this community, for the greater human family, or for the planet itself. In keeping with some of the profound lessons of nature in this season, William Bridges reminds us that in transitional times, there is a particular stage of creativity and insight that is possible within that movement. And in particular, what Bridges calls the none zone. The time between when one era has ended and the people in the community as individuals and as a group get a real sense of that completion in its finality. But before they yet have a clear sense of what the next era in their life together will look like. That time has great potential. It is always a time of heightened anxiety. But if we foster together some of the skills and support to lean into and underneath and above the anxiety, there is the potential for change and insight that is unparalleled in any other time of the life of the community. You move from a sense of really wanting to preserve the past to being able to utilize the gifts and the lessons of the past to teach you more about who you are and who you dream of being now. But it is not easy work. Bridges writes, before you can begin something new, you have to end what used to be. Before you learn a new way of doing things, you have to unlearn the old ways. Before you can be a different kind of person, you must let go of your old identity. And so he concludes, beginnings depend on endings. The problem is, he says, people don't like endings. In so many ways, the religious holidays that are linked with even older pagan holy days place their liturgical finger on that ancient pulse of change. So it is with Lent that very much is in keeping with some of the oldest human reflections on profound meaning. And it reminds us that loss, change, at least metaphorical death, are essential to profound renewal. What are the places in your own life where you struggle with change. In the larger life of your community, this country, the world, where are the places of greatest tension in the transformation around us? And what about in the life of this community? Where are the places you are most anxious about the potential change of the future? It's important for us to be honest with ourselves and each other about those places of anxiety. They speak to us powerfully too. But what else will be possible in your life, in the larger life, in the life of this community? And what new life is waiting for us? And how can we invite each other to journey on? As the French philosopher Henri Bergson wrote, "To exist is to change. To change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly."
I'm Emily Auerbach, the director of the UW Odyssey Project, and I'm going to be filling in for Shar Braxton. Shar was here last week and spoke about how, as an African American student in a Madison high school, she was told she was not college material. She went on to prove that guidance counselor very wrong and now works in the school system. That experience as working as a special education teacher aide in the school system is behind her poem for today about renewal called Endless Possibilities. Endless Possibilities by Shar Braxton. The journey of education, renewal, interruptions, the state of feeling whole again, my mind clear and focused, new roads to walk, hurricanes, pain, and circles of Zen. Odyssey provided me with understanding and the skills to give back, tutoring youth to be exact. The Madison school system was my training ground. My experiences were rewarding, yet some were just downright wrong. No Child Left Behind sounded on point. However, 12th grade senior, no reading comprehension, no math solving skills, and no possibilities to move forward. Where did this cycle begin? Children with no hope in darkness, no love for themselves, poverty, homelessness, mental illness, suicide. A wicked circle. Where does it end? My presence of showing patience, encouragement, conversation, and love renews their empty spirit. I can strive to evolve as I leave their presence. Body language speaks, don't go, I need you, help, inspire my hope. My stomach is twisted in knots, signals everywhere, forget me not. For one moment in my cycle of life, I uplifted a child, created a poem, listened to them read, renewed their inner strength to close their eyes, dream, and believe. And now Marisol Gonzalez from the Odyssey class of 2017 will share her poem.
I am a thief. I am a thief because I decided to steal my destiny. My destiny, the one predetermined before I was even born, due to the country and the environment in which I was born, the color of my skin, poverty, language, lack of opportunities, the alcoholism of my parents, early pregnancy, immigration, etc. My destiny, the one that the people with power want for me and for the majority of the people who were born in the same circumstances. The fate of the peasant who was exploited in the fields, working the soil that produces every vegetable or fruit that we put in our mouths. The fate of a single mother who abandons herself to work day and night to provide for her children. The fate of the undocumented immigrant who are forced to leave their loved ones behind, to become worthless, poorly paid, harassed, and necessary, but not wanted. In 2017, the UW Odyssey Project gave me the opportunity I needed to get out of that dark hole called predetermined destiny. I grabbed tight and I discovered that I am the owner of my own destiny. I read and learned that it's possible to overcome poverty by changing my way of thinking, by believing that I am capable of achieving my dreams, and by knowing that I can succeed even when I was set to fail. My mind is my biggest enemy or my greatest ally. Today, I am not the victim of my circumstances. Today, I am a successful immigrant business owner, a bilingual writer, a Spanish teacher, and a hard-working mother. Today, I am renewing my quest to be a gadfly, fighting injustice. I am a humble human being who is not afraid of the future because I know I have the ability to change it. I am the thief of my destiny.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Marisol, for sharing those reflections and your stories with us this morning. It is always a great gift to have the UW Odyssey Project participants here with us. It is truly the season of renewal. Every April, when I was in seminary, one of our professors would write these words, a verse from the Song of Songs in the Hebrew Scriptures across the board. For look, the winter is past, the flowers have appeared in the land, the season of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove has been heard. And then he would magically produce a bouquet of daffodils or tulips or a giant hyacinth from under the table and lead us in singing whatever hymn was on his heart that morning. And every single year, even though we knew it was coming, we were waiting for the words, we were waiting for the flowers, we would grin from ear to ear, and we would sing from a place deep inside that was so very grateful that we had made it through the cold of winter, that spring, that renewal was truly here. My professor would then ask us to spend our remaining time reflecting on the same question every year. What in you is most alive? I loved that question because it speaks to renewal, and it reminded us that renewal is indeed possible both within and among us. And we feel it when we see those first flowers of the season. We feel that sense of life and possibility rising up within us. Yet part of me always wanted to turn to that professor and say, what in you is most alive? How exactly do we figure that out? The author Imani and Kozana wrote, renewal of the mind is good for the soul because it allows you to be focused and gain understanding of your life choices. It allows you to renew your spirit and become uplifted, filled with hope. Renewal in this sense takes a great deal of courage and also involves a belief that these inner seasons are actually subject to both our desire and our will to change. We find ourselves considering the idea of renewal as a symbolic possibility, as a metaphor for the life force that is awakened within creation every year as spring emerges. What in this season can be renewed within you? What in you is wanting to be most alive? Love, courage, kindness, understanding, whatever else within you waiting to awaken or be replenished after being depleted by time and circumstance. Every spring, we encounter a newness that embodies hope and potential for a wholeness that is yet to be. And every April, I think about that question. And I think about the how. How do we figure that out? And I was reminded of the words of Margaret Wheatley. I always thought that these words of hers would be her answer to the how do we find what is most alive within us. Notice what you care about, she says. Assume that others share your dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite in everyone who cares to work on what's possible. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations will change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together. So perhaps there is an answer to the how we find what is most alive within us in her words, where she reminds us of the renewal that is possible within community, in hearing the stories and in learning of the experiences of others, finding renewal, finding what is alive within us in relationship. Truly, each week, each day is a new page open to us, a new opportunity for living, loving, creating justice, building and rebuilding relationships, for renewing ourselves, for finding that which is alive within us and within others. And in those connections, finding a greater sense of renewal, a renewal of community and this greater life that we share. Remember that meaningful conversations can change your world. May we come to greet each day, each moment, as the gift that it is, and renewed by that gift, may we go forth in hope and in peace.
We have been blessed by the sharing of the Odyssey Project today. And so I remind you that they are the recipients of our 50-50 offering. May we find within ourselves the generosity so that 30 students may be immersed in the power of the humanities and through philosophy and history and art and literature, learn more about what is possible in the world and in their own lives. May we find that spirit of abundance and generosity as our offering is given and received.
Thank you for your generosity during our offering. I know a little bit about the UW Odyssey Project, so I appreciate your support of their program. And as you can tell, it's a game changer for a lot of students. We also appreciate the generosity of the volunteers who make these services run so smoothly. I'd like to mention their names to you now so you can give them a hug and include them in your will. Operating the sound system, David Bryles. Thank you, David. Our lay minister today is Ann Smiley. Our greeters upstairs were Claire Box and Joyce Carey. Our ushers, Robin Downs, Jed Downs, and Ann Ostrom. Hospitality and coffee are provided by Nancy Kossoff and Blaze Thompson in the kitchen. And our tour guide today is John Powell. So thanks to all those volunteers. Just a couple announcements. First, during the Jewish Passover season, we always offer a Passover Seder. This year's is going to be Friday, April 19 at 6:30 p.m. Again, 6:30, Friday, April 19, about 2 weeks from now. And I've attended it before. It's a wonderful, very accessible Seder dinner. And I was raised Jewish, so I know how wonderful the food can be. And my only complaint growing up in a Jewish home was that Passover was only once a year because the food is so good. So again, Friday evening, April 19, 6:30, the sign-up sheet is out in the Commons. 70 days until Cabaret, 70 days until June 15, Cabaret. More about that later. And for those of you interested in meeting with a couple of the FUS board members to talk about the interim process, a couple of them will be right up here after the service during the fellowship hour with coffee here to answer any questions and points that you might want to raise regarding the interim process. And the last announcement concerns our stewardship campaign, which has been going very well. We are well on our way to being able to fund all the programs and services that this organization offers, including the child dedication and including the religious education program and other programs for our kids so that they can feel valued here, and the family programming and experiences so that families can thrive here, as well as providing the components of a spiritual home across all generations, leveraging our music program as a new and expanded community outreach tool, hosting community events here so that we can deepen our community connection while generating a revenue stream for the organization, and of course, adding our voice to social and environmental justice. We had a big party on Friday night and talked a little bit about all of the ways stewardship is expressed and demonstrated here. It's not just financial contributions, but time and in-kind support. And one person came up to me and said that this has been the most fun she's ever had contributing to what we used to call the annual campaign. And I've had fun too, and want to remind you that we are taking pledges until June 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year, so keep those pledges coming. And if you have questions about your own pledge, Cheryl will be staffing the table in the Commons. We all believe that because of you, we're so excited now because of you. There's nothing that we cannot do because of you. Your stewardship is something. You got the whole joint jumping because of you. We are quite an awesome crew. Thanks to your stewardship, FUS is full of zip. And it's all because of you. That's right, it's all because of you.
Let us rise in all the ways that we do to sing together hymn number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
And now, may we remember to keep our face to the sun, to play, laugh, and experience joy whenever possible, to celebrate the world and our fellow human beings, to say yes to life each day. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather in this place again. Before we move on into our day, I invite you to take your seat again and receive one more gift of music together in worship.